When I arrived in Merkaz HaRav in Tavshin Lamed Het, Hallel was recited with the Braha morning and evening, both days. Rav Tzida passed away. It was Niftar on Purim Tavshin Membeth. So, less than 2 months later, it's Yom Ha'atzmaut, Yom Tkumat Yisrael, and I happened to be standing. What happened? I used to sit near Rav Shapira in the front row, and a lot of people, apart from myself, knew that Rav Shapira did not think you should say Hallel with the Bracha. So the Shliach Tzibur, at the end of Tfilat Arvit, that is to say, at the end of Shmoneh Esrei and Kaddish, or Kiddush Hashem, he looked, and I was right next to Rav Shapira, he looked towards him, sort of raised his eyebrows, what do I say? Do I say a bracha? Do I not say a bracha? Rav Rom went like this, he said, Bli bracha. And that's what happened. And so Hallel was recited for the first time, in my experience, at least in Merkaz HaRav, on that evening, and also therefore the next morning, of Yom Tkumat Yisrael and Yom Yerushalayim, I believe. I witnessed what I witnessed that night. I don't recall every other occasion. I probably wasn't there, I was somewhere else, but that I saw, and the Shliach Tzibur began Hallel without a bracha. He began Hallelujah v'chulei. Okay. I was not surprised because I knew that Rav Shapira thought this way. That immediately after the tefillah was over, Hallel was over, everything was over, I was walking out of the Beit Midrash, and here this was by chance, it wasn't by design, and it wasn't because I was in my usual place. I happened to find myself standing right next to HaRav Tzvi Yisrael Tau, who claims, and others claim for him, but the Talmid of Rav Tzviuda, and many people felt that he should be the Rosh Yeshiva, whatever, but a different kind of person altogether, okay? Different generation also, much younger. And as I happened to be standing next to him, another person came up to him, a person I knew by the name of Chaim Perry, a person I actually learned with a little bit at some point. And he said to Rav Tau, he said, why did we not say Hallel with Bracha? Rav Tzida always said to say Hallel with the Bracha. The response that I remember very clearly, as if I was hearing it right now, was that Rav Tau said to him, Shana she'avra HaRav Goren haya HaRav HaRashi, which was true, and he was of the opinion that you should say recite Hallel with the Bracha, and we followed the Rabbon Rashit, and that's what we did. And this year the Rav Rashi is HaRav Shapira, and he is of the opinion that you recite Hallel without a Bracha, and we followed the Rabbon Rashit, and that's what we did. That was the answer. Is that a very rational answer? In my humble opinion, no. But that was the answer. This will also perhaps begin to explain to you some other strange phenomena, such as the fact that Rav Tau and his supporters from Yeshivat Haramor and other people of that type, of that inclination, were very upset that Otzma Yehudit, headed by Itamar Ben became part of this current shambles of a government coalition that we have. Why? What was the problem with Ben Gvir or other people in the party? They didn't have any complaint about the fact that many other Jews who were Mahalei Shabbat Befer Hesyah were part of this government coalition. That didn't, for some reason, bother them. What bothered them was that Itamar Ben Gvir occasionally goes to Har HaBayit, and that's against the Rabbon Rashit. And therefore, how can such a person be in the government coalition? I don't know how that strikes you. To me, that strikes me as some kind of obsessive, irrational position. First of all, how you can get so overheated about such a pathetic institution as the Rabbon Rashit, I personally do not know. Since that time, by the way, since those early years of the 80s, let me know, that Rav Shapira and Rav Mordechai Eliyahu were the Rabbanim HaRashiyim. Since that time into the present day, all the Rabbanim HaRashiyim for the past, in other words, 30 plus years, have been Haredim, and you don't have to ask them what they think about such things, because you know, you can ask, and they'll tell you, and they'll tell you probably if you don't ask. So, but still, these people who have this fixation with the Rabbut Rashid, because it was originally established by Rav Kook, which is also not really true, it was established by the British Mandate. It wasn't set up by Rav Kook. Rav Kook was the Rav of Yafo and considered the greatest Rav in Eretz Yisrael before the British arrived here. When they began organizing the British Mandate, so-called, they decided there has to be a Chief Rabbinate. And the natural and obvious choice was Rav Kook. Okay, so he became the Rav Rashi. It wasn't as if he invented the institution or the position or anything of the sort. So how you can get so excited about such an organization, I personally do not know. Certainly, I do not understand someone who says that we follow the Rabbut Rashid with regards to with the bracha, without the bracha. But now, what I would ask these people today is: do you recite Hallel on Yom Ha'atzmaut, on Yom Yerushalayim? Because the Rabbut Rashid says not to, and I don't believe for a moment that they don't. So. Again, you see intellectual dishonesty. Intellectual dishonesty and irrational thought processes are not to be found only on one side of the barricade. Everybody is fluffing and dealing with the facts in a very loose fashion. Shall we say their intellectual and moral apparatus is very, very elastic, and they can make it fit almost any situation. I reject all of these opinions and all these biases and all these discussions. To my mind, are irrelevant, unimpressive, and even, I would say, embarrassing, in my humble opinion.